In a cinematic world filled with sequels, reboots, and familiar monsters, Predator: Badlands stands out as a bold step forward for one of science fiction's most iconic hunters. Released in 2025, this film does not simply continue the Predator legacy, it reshapes it. From the very first moments, the movie signals that it wants to do something different, something darker, more grounded, and more intense than what audiences may expect from the franchise. Predator: Badlands is designed to pull viewers into a brutal, unforgiving environment where survival is never guaranteed and every decision carries deadly consequences. The Predator series has always been about more than an alien creature stalking humans. At its core, the franchise explores ideas of power, honor, instinct, and the thin line between hunter and prey. Predator: Badlands embraces these ideas while stripping away excess spectacle and focusing on raw tension and atmosphere. Instead of relying purely on explosions or constant action, the film builds suspense slowly, allowing fear and anticipation to grow naturally. This approach makes the story feel more personal and more dangerous, as if the audience is trapped in the same harsh world as the characters on screen. Set against a remote and hostile landscape, Predator: Badlands uses its environment as a character in its own right. The land is vast, isolated, and merciless, reflecting the emotional and physical struggle faced by the people who dare to cross it. This setting is not chosen by accident. The Badlands symbolize lawlessness, survival of the fittest, and the collapse of familiar rules. In such a place, advanced weapons and modern technology mean very little. What matters is instinct, adaptability, and the will to endure. This makes the arrival of the Predator even more terrifying, because it is an enemy perfectly suited for a world without mercy. What makes Predator: Badlands especially intriguing is how it respects the franchise's history while refusing to be trapped by it. Longtime fans will recognize the DNA of earlier Predator films, from the sense of isolation to the quiet buildup before violence erupts. At the same time, the movie introduces a fresh tone that feels more intimate and more serious. It asks the audience to look at the Predator not just as a monster, but as a force that exposes human weakness, fear, and courage in extreme conditions. The year 2025 marks a moment when audiences are more open than ever to thoughtful genre films that blend action with deeper storytelling. Predator: Badlands arrives at the perfect time, offering a movie that works both as a thrilling survival story and as a reflection on human nature. It understands that true horror does not come from what is seen clearly, but from what is felt and anticipated. Silence, distance, and uncertainty are used as weapons just as powerful as claws or plasma blasts. For new viewers, Predator: Badlands serves as an accessible entry point into the franchise. It does not demand detailed knowledge of past films to be effective. The story is built in a way that stands on its own, allowing anyone to understand the stakes and connect with the characters. For longtime fans, the movie feels like a confident evolution, proving that the Predator mythos still has room to grow and surprise. As this film unfolds, it becomes clear that Predator: Badlands is not simply about who survives and who does not. It is about what survival costs. It examines how people react when stripped of comfort, safety, and control. Courage, fear, sacrifice, and instinct all collide under relentless pressure. By the time the story fully takes shape, the audience realizes they are not just watching a hunt. They are witnessing a test of humanity itself, set in a world where mercy is rare and survival is earned. This introduction sets the stage for a film that values tension over noise and meaning over excess. Predator: Badlands invites viewers to lean in, listen closely, and feel the danger before it strikes. It promises a story where every shadow matters, every sound raises fear, and every choice can lead to life or death in an instant. The journey ahead is brutal, unforgettable, and carefully crafted for audiences who crave intensity story. Predator: Badlands is a 2025 science fiction action thriller that expands the long-running Predator franchise while giving it a distinctly fresh identity. The film belongs to the science fiction, action, and survival horror genres, blending intense suspense with brutal action and atmospheric storytelling. Unlike some earlier entries that leaned heavily into large-scale military combat or urban chaos, Predator: Badlands focuses on isolation, survival, and primal conflict, bringing the story back to the franchise's most essential elements. The movie is produced as a standalone story within the Predator universe. While it respects the established lore of the alien hunters, it does not directly continue the storyline of any previous film. This creative decision allows the filmmakers to explore new characters, new locations, and new ideas without being restricted by earlier plotlines. As a result, Predator Badlands feels accessible to first-time viewers while still rewarding long-time fans who understand the deeper mythology of the Predator species. Predator Badlands was released in 2025, a time when audiences have shown strong interest in grounded genre films that prioritize atmosphere and character over non-stop spectacle. The film is produced by a major Hollywood studio with a long history connected to the Predator franchise. The production aims to balance modern filmmaking techniques with the gritty, suspense-driven tone that made the original Predator film a classic. This balance is reflected in the movie's pacing, visual style, and storytelling approach. The running time of Predator Badlands is designed to maintain constant tension without feeling rushed. The film allows scenes to breathe, giving viewers time to absorb the environment, understand the characters, and sense the growing danger. This measured runtime supports the slow-burn suspense that defines the movie, gradually building toward moments of intense violence and confrontation. Rather than overwhelming the audience with constant action, the film carefully chooses when to strike, making each encounter feel meaningful and impactful. In terms of rating, Predator Badlands is aimed at a mature audience. The film contains strong violence, disturbing imagery, and intense sequences that reflect the brutal nature of both the predator and the environment it hunts in. This rating allows the filmmakers to portray the story honestly, without softening its themes or consequences. Survival in the Badlands is not clean or heroic, and the film does not shy away from showing the physical and emotional toll of the hunt. The movie's setting is one of its most defining features. Predator Badlands takes place in a remote, desolate region far removed from civilization. This location plays a critical role in shaping the story, limiting escape routes and cutting characters off from outside help. The harsh landscape reinforces the film's themes of isolation and vulnerability, creating a situation where human characters must rely on instinct and resilience rather than technology or backup. Predator Badlands is filmed using a mix of practical locations and controlled environments to achieve a realistic yet cinematic look. The filmmakers emphasize natural lighting, wide open spaces, and minimal artificial elements to maintain a grounded visual tone. This approach supports the story's focus on realism and tension, making the Predator's presence feel more threatening and believable. From a production standpoint, Predator Badlands represents a deliberate shift in creative direction for the franchise. Instead of attempting to escalate scale with larger explosions or bigger battles, the film chooses restraint. The emphasis is placed on storytelling clarity, emotional stakes, and immersive world-building. This makes the movie feel more personal and more intense, as viewers are drawn into the experience rather than watching it from a distance. Overall, Predator Badlands is positioned as a serious, atmospheric entry in the Predator franchise. Its basic information reveals a film that values tone, setting, and narrative focus over excess. By grounding its science fiction elements in a harsh and believable environment, the movie sets the stage for a story where survival is uncertain and danger feels constant. This foundation prepares the audience for a tense and immersive experience that unfolds steadily, with every detail serving the larger story. Predator Badlands tells a tense and brutal survival story where instinct, intelligence, and endurance matter more than firepower. Set far from cities and civilization, the film unfolds in a vast stretch of desert Badlands, a place where the land itself feels hostile. Endless horizons, scorching heat during the day, freezing cold at night, and complete isolation define this unforgiving environment. From the very beginning, the movie establishes that survival here is never guaranteed, even before the true threat reveals itself. The story centers on Maya Cruz, played by Amber Midthunder, a hardened survival guide with deep knowledge of the Badlands. Maya understands the land in ways most people never will. She knows how to track movement, read weather changes, and survive with limited resources. Her past is hinted at through her guarded behavior and emotional distance. Maya does not talk much about where she came from, but it is clear that she has learned survival the hard way. She takes a job leading a small group across the Badlands, believing it will be dangerous, but manageable. The group she guides is made up of people with very different motivations. Ethan Cole, portrayed by Boyd Holbrook, is a former military tracker. He is confident, disciplined, and used to being in control. His background gives him a sense of authority, but it has also made him emotionally closed off. Ethan believes that planning and strategy can solve any problem. He approaches the journey like a mission, not realizing that the rules here are different. Traveling with them is Lena Price, played by Kelly Spaney, a determined journalist. Lena is chasing a story. She believes illegal operations are hidden deep within the Badlands and wants proof. She constantly records audio and video, documenting everything she sees. At first, Lena appears more focused on capturing evidence than understanding the danger around her. She believes that exposing the truth is worth the risk. The final member of the group is Marcus Hale, portrayed by Trevant Rhodes. Marcus is a quiet, physically imposing man with a criminal past. He is there for the money, hoping this job will give him a chance at a fresh start. Marcus speaks little, but his presence adds tension. His strength makes him valuable, yet his silence makes him difficult to read. As the journey begins, everything feels tense but controlled. The Badlands are harsh, but Maya knows how to navigate them. However, strange signs soon appear. Animals are found mutilated in ways that do not match natural predators. Electronic equipment malfunctions without explanation. At night, distant sounds echo across the desert, sounds that feel deliberate rather than random. The group assumes smugglers or rogue militias are nearby. Maya is not convinced. Maya begins to feel watched. Her instincts tell her something is wrong, even though she cannot explain it logically. She notices patterns in the environment, tracks that vanish suddenly, and areas where sound seems unnaturally quiet. Her unease grows stronger when Marcus disappears during a night watch. There is no struggle, no warning. Only blood and scorched ground remain. This moment changes everything. Fear spreads through the group. Ethan steps into a leadership role, organizing defenses and setting up patrols. His military mindset clashes with Maya's survival instincts. Ethan wants control. Maya wants awareness and patience. Their conflict grows as the danger increases. Lena continues recording, convinced that whatever is happening could expose a massive secret. Her camera becomes a symbol of distance, separating her from the reality of the situation. The truth is revealed when the predator finally appears. This version of the creature is larger, more aggressive, and more feral than previous incarnations. It is clearly adapted to the Badlands, able to move silently across open terrain and blend into heat and dust. It hunts with terrifying precision, striking suddenly and vanishing just as quickly. This is not a random killer. This is a hunter in its natural environment. Marcus is revealed to have survived the initial attack, but only briefly. The predator uses him as bait, demonstrating its dominance and intelligence. Marcus's death is brutal and unavoidable. It marks a turning point in the story. The group realizes that escape may not be possible. They are not being attacked randomly. They are being hunted. Ethan attempts to fight back, planning an ambush using his training and remaining resources. The plan fails. The predator anticipates his moves with ease. Ethan is badly wounded, proving that conventional tactics and weapons are useless here. His injury humbles him. He is no longer the confident soldier giving orders. He becomes a protector, focused on keeping the others alive rather than winning. As leadership shifts, Maya becomes the emotional and strategic center of the story. She stops thinking about escape and starts thinking about survival. Drawing on her deep understanding of the land, she begins to anticipate the predator's movements. She studies its patterns, its timing, and its choices. Through observation, Maya realizes that the predator follows a strict hunting code. It values challenge and strength. It does not kill indiscriminately. This realization gives Maya a narrow chance. She cannot overpower the predator, but she might outthink it. Instead of weapons, she uses terrain, deception, and patience. She turns the Badlands into a weapon, setting traps that rely on the environment rather than technology. Lena's character undergoes a major transformation during this time. When Ethan is in danger, Lena sacrifices her camera equipment to save him. This moment symbolizes her shift from observer to participant. She stops documenting the story and starts living it. Her instincts awaken, and she becomes more grounded, more aware of the cost of survival. Ethan, weakened but determined, helps Maya prepare for the final confrontation. He sets traps using his remaining strength, knowing he may not survive. His role is no longer to lead, but to buy time. The climax unfolds in a natural rock maze, a harsh, confined environment where escape routes disappear. Maya lures the predator into this space, forcing it into close quarters. The final battle is brutal and intimate. Advanced technology becomes meaningless. The fight is reduced to raw instinct, endurance, and intelligence. Ethan dies buying Maya time, facing the predator head-on. His death earns the creature's respect, reinforcing the idea that strength is measured by resolve, not victory. Lena narrowly escapes, injured but alive, carrying the weight of everything she has witnessed. In the final moments, Maya faces the predator alone. She is exhausted, wounded, and unarmed. Instead of killing her, the predator acknowledges her strength. She has proven herself through survival and intelligence. The creature leaves, choosing survival over victory. The film ends quietly. Maya and Lena walk out of the Badlands, forever changed. There is no celebration, no triumph. Only survival. They understand now that some hunters do not need trophies to prove dominance, and some battles are not meant to be won. Predator Badlands is built on a carefully controlled plot structure that prioritizes tension, escalation, and emotional immersion. The narrative follows a classic survival framework, but it reshapes that structure through pacing, atmosphere, and perspective. Rather than rushing into action, the film allows its story to unfold gradually, using silence, distance, and uncertainty to pull the audience deeper into the experience. This deliberate structure is one of the film's greatest strengths, making every major event feel earned rather than forced. The first act functions as a slow-burning setup. It introduces the setting, the central characters, and the emotional tone of the story. The Badlands are established not just as a backdrop, but as an active threat. Wide shots emphasize isolation, while minimal dialogue reinforces the sense that help is far away. During this phase, the narrative plants subtle clues that something is wrong. Missing animals, strange heat distortions, and unexplained sounds create unease without revealing the predator too early. This restraint allows suspense to build naturally and keeps viewers engaged through anticipation rather than shock. The inciting incident occurs with the disappearance of Marcus. This moment shifts the story from uncertainty to fear. Structurally, this is where the narrative commits to its central conflict. The group is no longer simply traveling through a dangerous environment, they are being hunted. From this point forward, the plot tightens, and the pacing becomes more focused. Scenes grow shorter, dialogue becomes sharper, and the sense of urgency increases. The film uses this transition effectively to move from mystery into survival horror. The second act forms the core of the narrative and is driven by escalating danger and internal conflict. This section balances external threats with character tension. Ethan's military logic clashes with Maya's instinct-driven approach, creating strategic disagreements that affect their survival. The predator's appearances remain brief and violent, reinforcing its superiority and unpredictability. Each encounter removes a sense of safety, pushing the characters further into desperation. Structurally, this act follows a downward spiral, where every attempt to regain control results in greater loss. Midway through the film, the story reaches a critical turning point when Ethan is severely injured. This moment reshapes the narrative flow. Leadership shifts subtly toward Maya, and the group's goal changes from escape to endurance. The pacing slows slightly here, allowing space for reflection and emotional depth. The film uses this pause to explore fear, guilt, and resolve, preventing the story from becoming a non-stop chase and giving weight to the characters' decisions. The third act accelerates sharply as the narrative moves toward confrontation. The setting becomes more confined, transitioning from open desert to a natural rock maze. This physical narrowing mirrors the tightening of the plot. Options disappear, time runs out, and the story drives toward an inevitable clash. The editing becomes more precise, cutting between predator and prey to heighten tension. The film avoids excessive exposition, letting visual storytelling guide the audience through the final phase. The climax is structured as an intimate battle rather than a spectacle. This choice reinforces the film's themes of survival and respect. The predator is no longer an unseen force but a direct opponent. The fight unfolds in stages, each reflecting the lessons learned earlier in the narrative. Maya's understanding of the land and the predator's code becomes the decisive factor, bringing the story full circle. The climax feels both brutal and purposeful, serving as the natural conclusion to the film's carefully built tension. The resolution is quiet and restrained. Instead of a triumphant ending, the narrative chooses reflection. The predator's departure and the survivor's escape provide closure without false victory. Structurally, this ending reinforces the film's message that survival does not always mean conquest. The story concludes where it began, in silence and distance, leaving the audience with a lingering sense of unease and respect for the forces encountered. Overall, Predator Badlands uses a disciplined plot structure that values buildup, escalation, and emotional payoff. Its narrative flow is controlled and intentional, guiding viewers through fear, loss, and endurance without losing focus. Every act serves a clear purpose, resulting in a story that feels cohesive, immersive, and deeply unsettling. Predator Badlands places strong emphasis on character development, using the extreme situation of being hunted to strip each character down to their core. The film does not rely on long backstories or heavy exposition. Instead, it allows personalities, fears, and values to emerge naturally through action, conflict, and survival choices. Each major character follows a clear arc shaped by pressure, loss, and adaptation, making their journeys feel authentic and emotionally grounded. Maya Cruz, played by Amber Midhunder, experiences the most significant transformation in the film. At the beginning, she is presented as capable but emotionally guarded. Her connection to the land is professional rather than personal, and she keeps emotional distance from the group. Maya's arc is rooted in trust and responsibility. As the danger escalates, she is forced to step beyond her role as a guide and become a leader. Her growth is subtle but powerful, moving from quiet observer to decisive survivor. By the end, Maya fully embraces her instincts and accepts the cost of leadership, understanding that survival sometimes requires sacrifice rather than victory. Ethan Cole, portrayed by Boyd Holbrook, follows a downward yet meaningful arc. He enters the story confident in his military experience, relying heavily on structure, strategy, and control. Initially, he views the situation as a problem that can be solved with planning and force. However, as his tactics repeatedly fail against the predator, Ethan's certainty begins to crumble. His injury marks a turning point, forcing him to confront his limitations. Ethan's arc is about humility and acceptance. He transitions from commanding leader to protector, ultimately finding purpose not in winning, but in ensuring others survive. His final sacrifice completes this arc, giving his character emotional closure. Lena Price, played by Kelly Spaney, undergoes a transformation from observer to participant. At first, she is driven by curiosity and ambition, focused on documenting the journey rather than living it. Lena believes distance and objectivity will protect her emotionally. As the threat becomes real, this illusion collapses. Her arc centers on awakening and courage. She learns that witnessing danger is not the same as facing it. By risking her equipment to save Ethan, Lena symbolically abandons her role as an outsider. By the end, she is no longer chasing a story, but fighting for her life, emerging stronger and more grounded. Marcus Hale, portrayed by Trevant Rhodes, represents unrealized redemption. Introduced as a quiet and physically imposing figure, Marcus is seeking a second chance but remains emotionally closed off. His arc is intentionally brief yet impactful. Marcus initially tries to prove his worth through strength, which ultimately makes him a target. His death is brutal and abrupt, reinforcing the film's message that good intentions do not guarantee survival. Although his arc ends early, it serves an important narrative purpose, signaling that the rules of this world are unforgiving and that no character is protected by sympathy. The Predator itself also follows a subtle arc, though it remains largely silent. Rather than being a mindless killer, the creature is portrayed as a disciplined hunter bound by a code. Its behavior evolves as it recognizes Maya's intelligence and adaptability. This shift adds depth to the conflict, transforming the Predator from a simple threat into a measuring force. By choosing to spare Maya, the creature completes its own arc, reinforcing the theme of respect earned through survival rather than dominance. Supporting characters and minor interactions further reinforce these arcs by highlighting contrast. Moments of fear, disagreement, and cooperation reveal who adapts and who resists change. The Badlands environment acts as a catalyst, accelerating development by removing comfort and forcing immediate consequences. No character remains static, and even brief choices carry long-term impact. Overall, Predator Badlands excels at using character arcs to enhance tension and meaning. Development is driven by action rather than explanation, allowing viewers to connect emotionally without slowing the narrative. Each arc serves the film's central themes of survival, humility, and respect, ensuring that the characters feel human, flawed, and real in a world that offers no mercy. The performances in Predator Badlands play a crucial role in grounding the film's intense and often brutal narrative. Rather than relying on exaggerated reactions or dramatic speeches, the actors deliver restrained, naturalistic performances that enhance realism and tension. This approach fits perfectly with the film's survival-driven tone, allowing fear, determination, and exhaustion to feel earned rather than performed. Each actor brings a distinct presence, contributing to a believable group dynamic under extreme pressure. Amber Midhunter's performance as Maya Cruz anchors the film emotionally. She portrays Maya with quiet strength and subtle vulnerability, avoiding unnecessary dramatics. Her acting relies heavily on physical expression, controlled movement, and minimal dialogue. Through posture, eye movement, and silence, Midhunter communicates Maya's deep connection to the land and her growing sense of responsibility. As the story progresses, her performance evolves organically, reflecting Maya's transition from guide to leader. The authenticity of her reactions makes the character's survival feel deserved rather than convenient. Boyd Holbrook delivers a layered performance as Ethan Cole, balancing confidence with internal conflict. Early in the film, Holbrook presents Ethan as assertive and commanding, using firm body language and direct speech. As the Predator dismantles his strategies, Holbrook subtly shifts his performance. His voice softens, his movements slow, and his expressions reveal doubt and frustration. After Ethan is injured, Holbrook leans into vulnerability without sacrificing strength, making his eventual sacrifice emotionally impactful. His performance adds depth to a character that could have easily become a generic action figure. Kelly Spaney brings emotional nuance to the role of Lena Price. Her portrayal captures the anxiety of someone out of their depth while avoiding panic-driven exaggeration. Spaney excels at showing gradual change. Early scenes depict Lena as observant but hesitant, often lingering on the edges of conversations. As danger escalates, her performance becomes more active and decisive. The moment she abandons her camera equipment is delivered without dialogue, relying entirely on expression and timing. This choice strengthens the believability of her arc and underscores the emotional cost of survival. Trevant Rhodes, though limited in screen time, makes a strong impression as Marcus Hale. His physical presence adds weight to the group, while his quiet demeanor suggests emotional restraint. Rhodes uses minimal dialogue, allowing pauses and stillness to convey Marcus's internal struggle. His death scene is particularly effective because of this restraint. Rather than overacting, Rhodes maintains a sense of dignity, making the moment disturbing and memorable. His performance reinforces the film's harsh reality that strength alone does not guarantee survival. The Predator itself is brought to life through a combination of physical performance and movement design. The actor inside the suit delivers a performance that emphasizes animalistic precision and calculated dominance. Every movement feels intentional, from slow observation to explosive violence. The physicality communicates intelligence and discipline, turning the predator into a character rather than a simple monster. This performance is essential in maintaining tension, as the creature feels present even when off-screen. Supporting performances also contribute significantly to the film's realism. Minor characters and brief interactions are handled with consistency, avoiding tonal distractions. Dialogue delivery remains grounded, with characters speaking only when necessary. This restraint allows silence to become an active storytelling tool. Reactions to danger feel immediate and human, reinforcing immersion. One of the film's greatest acting strengths is its use of nonverbal communication. Many key moments rely on glances, hesitation, and body language rather than words. This choice respects the audience's intelligence and enhances suspense. Fear is shown through breathing, posture, and instinctive reactions rather than exposition. Exhaustion is visible in slowed movements and strained expressions, making survival feel physically demanding. Overall, the acting in Predator: Badlands elevates the film beyond standard genre expectations. The performances are controlled, believable, and emotionally resonant. Each actor understands the film's tone and adjusts accordingly, ensuring consistency throughout. By prioritizing subtlety over spectacle, the cast delivers performances that support the story's realism and intensity. This commitment to authenticity makes the danger feel real and the characters worth caring about, strengthening the film's overall impact. The direction of Predator: Badlands reflects a clear and disciplined creative vision focused on tension, restraint, and immersive realism. Rather than attempting to reinvent the franchise through spectacle alone, the director chooses to refine its core identity. Every creative decision serves a unified purpose: to make the audience feel trapped, vulnerable, and constantly watched. This vision shapes the film's tone from the opening scene to the final moments, creating a cohesive experience that respects the franchise while pushing it into darker, more grounded territory. One of the director's most effective choices is the commitment to atmosphere over constant action. Instead of filling the screen with non-stop movement, the film uses stillness as a weapon. Long pauses, wide empty frames, and lingering shots allow tension to build naturally. The director understands that fear grows strongest when the threat is unseen. This approach encourages the audience to scan the environment, anticipating danger, much like the characters themselves. The result is a film that feels psychologically intense rather than mechanically loud. The director's vision also emphasizes realism in character behavior. People react slowly, make mistakes, and hesitate under pressure. There is no artificial heroism or exaggerated confidence. This grounding makes the predator feel even more powerful, as it exists outside human limitations. The director avoids glorifying violence, presenting it as sudden, brutal, and consequential. Deaths are not celebrated but felt, reinforcing the emotional weight of survival. Another defining aspect of the direction is the use of environment as narrative force. The Badlands are not treated as scenery but as a living obstacle. The director frames landscapes in ways that emphasize isolation and exposure. Characters are often shown small against vast terrain, visually reinforcing their vulnerability. Heat distortion, dust, and shadows are used deliberately to obscure vision and create unease. This environmental focus aligns with the film's central theme that nature itself can be as dangerous as any predator. The director also demonstrates strong control over pacing. The film follows a steady rhythm that avoids unnecessary peaks. Instead of building toward constant climaxes, tension rises and falls in measured waves. This pacing allows viewers time to process events while maintaining engagement. The director knows when to slow down for character moments and when to accelerate during confrontations. This balance prevents fatigue and ensures that major scenes land with full impact. Visual storytelling is a cornerstone of the director's approach. Exposition is minimized in favor of implication. The predator's presence is often suggested through sound, movement, or environmental disturbance rather than direct appearance. This choice respects the audience's ability to interpret visual cues. When the predator does appear, the impact is greater because it has been earned through buildup. The director's confidence in visual language strengthens immersion and suspense. The vision behind Predator Badlands also includes a thematic focus on respect and survival rather than domination. The director portrays the predator not as chaotic evil, but as a force governed by its own rules. This interpretation adds moral complexity to the conflict. By framing the predator as a hunter rather than a villain, the director invites the audience to question traditional ideas of hero and monster. This philosophical layer elevates the film beyond a simple survival story. Collaboration with other departments further reinforces the director's vision. Cinematography, sound design, and performance all align with the same tonal goals. There is a clear sense of leadership guiding the production toward consistency. Nothing feels accidental or out of place. Even moments of silence are intentional, used to heighten awareness and dread. The director's restraint is perhaps the film's boldest choice. In a genre often defined by escalation, Predator Badlands chooses focus. The vision prioritizes emotional realism, environmental storytelling, and controlled intensity. This approach may feel understated to some viewers, but it results in a film that lingers in the mind rather than fading after the final scene. Overall, the direction of Predator Badlands demonstrates a deep understanding of suspense, character, and atmosphere. The director delivers a confident vision that honors the franchise's roots while carving out a distinct identity. By trusting silence, environment, and human vulnerability, the film achieves a powerful and immersive experience that feels both familiar and refreshingly restrained. The cinematography of Predator Badlands is one of the film's most powerful storytelling tools, shaping mood, tension, and meaning through visual language. From the opening frames, the film establishes a harsh and unforgiving aesthetic that reflects the world the characters are trapped in. The visual style avoids glossy polish and instead embraces rawness, texture, and natural imperfection. This choice grounds the science fiction elements in realism, making the predator's presence feel invasive rather than fantastical. Wide shots dominate much of the film, especially in the early sections. These expansive frames emphasize the scale of the Badlands and the smallness of the human characters within it. By frequently placing characters at the edges of the frame or dwarfed by the landscape, the cinematography reinforces themes of isolation and vulnerability. There is nowhere to hide, and the land itself seems indifferent to human survival. These visuals quietly communicate danger without the need for dialogue or music. As the story progresses, the visual language becomes tighter and more claustrophobic. The camera gradually moves closer to the characters, shifting from wide landscapes to medium and close-up shots. This transition mirrors the narrative pressure as escape routes disappear and the predator closes in. Handheld camera work is used sparingly but effectively during moments of chaos, adding instability and urgency without becoming disorienting. The movement feels motivated by emotion rather than style, keeping the audience connected to the characters' experiences. Lighting plays a critical role in the film's visual identity. Predator Badlands relies heavily on natural and practical light sources. Harsh sunlight exposes every detail during the day, creating a sense of vulnerability and exhaustion. At night, darkness dominates the frame, broken only by firelight, moonlight, or faint artificial glows. Shadows are deep and unpredictable, often hiding movement at the edges of vision. This lighting strategy enhances suspense, as the predator can blend seamlessly into the environment. Color grading is deliberately restrained. The palette leans toward earthy browns, faded yellows, and muted grays, reflecting the dryness and decay of the Badlands. There are very few vibrant colors, which makes blood, fire, and predator technology stand out sharply when they appear. This contrast draws attention without overwhelming the frame, ensuring that visual highlights feel significant rather than decorative. The predator's visual presentation is handled with careful restraint. The cinematography avoids fully revealing the creature too early. Instead, partial views, reflections, heat distortions, and silhouettes are used to suggest its presence. This technique allows the audience's imagination to fill in gaps, increasing tension. When the predator is finally shown clearly, the camera does not glamorize it. The framing is functional and direct, emphasizing physicality and threat rather than spectacle. Environmental cinematography is central to the film's identity. Dust, wind, heat waves, and rock formations are captured in ways that feel tactile and oppressive. The camera often lingers on empty spaces after characters leave the frame, reinforcing the sense that the land is watching and waiting. These moments create visual breathing room while maintaining unease, reminding viewers that danger can come from stillness as much as movement. The use of depth of field further enhances tension. Shallow focus is employed during high-stress moments, blurring backgrounds and limiting awareness. This visual choice places the audience inside the character's fear, where only immediate threats matter. In contrast, deeper focus during calmer moments allows the environment to feel open and exposed, suggesting vulnerability rather than safety. Composition throughout the film reflects imbalance and uncertainty. Horizons are often tilted slightly, and characters are framed off-center. These subtle choices create visual discomfort without being obvious. The cinematography avoids symmetrical beauty, favoring realism and unease. Even visually striking shots feel grounded rather than stylized. Overall, the cinematography and visual style of Predator Badlands serve the story with precision and restraint. Every frame reinforces mood, theme, and tension. The camera does not seek attention for itself but works quietly to immerse the audience in a hostile world. By prioritizing atmosphere over spectacle, the film creates a visual experience that feels intense, intimate, and unforgettable. The editing and pacing of Predator Badlands are carefully designed to sustain tension while preserving clarity and emotional impact. Rather than relying on rapid cuts or overstimulation, the film adopts a disciplined editing style that respects rhythm and restraint. This approach allows suspense to grow organically, ensuring that action sequences feel intense without becoming chaotic and quieter moments remain engaging rather than slow. In the early stages of the film, the editing favors longer takes and measured transitions. Scenes unfold with patience, giving viewers time to absorb the environment and understand character relationships. Cuts are deliberate and often motivated by movement or sound rather than urgency. This slower pace establishes a sense of realism and draws the audience into the world. By resisting the temptation to rush, the film builds a foundation of calm that makes later disruptions more effective. As the narrative shifts from exploration to survival, the editing subtly adapts. Shot lengths shorten and transitions become sharper. This shift mirrors the character's growing anxiety and loss of control. The audience feels the pressure increase not through louder sound or faster music, but through the tightening of visual rhythm. The editing communicates danger by reducing visual comfort, creating a sense that events are accelerating beyond anyone's ability to manage. Action sequences in Predator Badlands are edited with clarity as a priority. Unlike many modern action films that favor extreme rapid cutting, this film allows movement to be read clearly. Each strike, fall, or escape attempt is visually coherent, making the violence feel more immediate and brutal. The editor avoids unnecessary angles, focusing instead on cause and effect. This clarity enhances tension, as viewers can fully understand the stakes and consequences of each decision. The film also makes effective use of negative space and pauses. Moments of silence are preserved rather than trimmed, allowing dread to linger. These pauses are essential to the film's pacing, preventing exhaustion and giving emotional beats time to resonate. The editor understands that fear is often strongest in anticipation, and these held moments allow that anticipation to build naturally. Cross-cutting is used sparingly but strategically. When the predator is active, the editing sometimes alternates between hunter and prey, creating a sense of inevitability. These transitions are smooth and purposeful, never disorienting. The audience is aware of the predator's proximity without being overwhelmed by constant reminders. This balance maintains suspense while preserving narrative focus. The middle section of the film demonstrates particularly strong pacing control. This is where many survival films struggle, either dragging or escalating too quickly. Predator Badlands avoids both extremes. The editing maintains momentum while allowing character development to continue. Scenes are arranged to alternate between tension and brief relief, creating a rhythm that keeps viewers engaged without numbing them to danger. The final act shifts into a more aggressive pacing style, but still within controlled limits. Cuts become faster during confrontations, reflecting urgency and chaos. However, the editor resists excess. Even in the climax, there is space for breath, ensuring that emotional moments are not lost amid action. This restraint makes the climax feel earned rather than overwhelming. Transitions between scenes are clean and purposeful. The film avoids flashy editing techniques, favoring simple cuts and natural fades. This simplicity supports immersion, allowing viewers to remain focused on the story rather than the mechanics of editing. Time progression is clearly communicated, preventing confusion and maintaining narrative flow. The ending benefits from a deliberate slowdown in pacing. After the intensity of the climax, the editor allows the story to settle. Shots linger longer, and cuts are less frequent. This deceleration gives the audience time to process what has happened and absorb the emotional weight of survival and loss. The quiet resolution feels intentional, reinforcing the film's themes rather than undercutting them. Overall, the editing and pacing of Predator Badlands reflect strong discipline and narrative awareness. Every cut serves a purpose, whether to build tension, clarify action, or deepen emotion. The film understands when to accelerate and when to pause, creating a rhythm that sustains engagement from beginning to end. This careful balance enhances immersion and ensures that the story's intensity never feels artificial or forced. Sound design in Predator Badlands is one of the film's most powerful storytelling elements, working quietly but relentlessly to build fear, tension, and immersion. Rather than overwhelming the audience with constant music or loud effects, the film uses sound with precision and restraint. Every noise feels intentional, shaping how viewers experience danger even when nothing is visible on screen. The result is a soundscape that makes the Badlands feel alive, hostile, and constantly threatening. From the opening scenes, environmental sound takes priority. Wind sweeping across open terrain, distant animal calls, shifting rocks, and the crunch of footsteps in dry soil are all amplified with clarity. These natural sounds ground the film in realism and establish a sense of exposure. Silence is never empty. Even in quiet moments, subtle background noise reminds the audience that the characters are never truly safe. This approach conditions viewers to listen closely, increasing tension as they anticipate what might break the silence. The Predator's sound design is especially effective. The creature is often heard before it is seen, using layered audio cues to signal its presence. Low-frequency pulses, distorted clicks, and faint mechanical hums blend with the environment, making it difficult to pinpoint the source. This uncertainty mirrors the character's fear and confusion. The Predator's vocalizations are used sparingly, ensuring that each sound feels significant rather than familiar. When the creature finally announces itself fully, the impact is heightened by prior restraint. Weapon sounds are handled with realism and weight. Gunfire is loud but not exaggerated, echoing sharply across the landscape before fading into emptiness. Each shot feels costly, reinforcing the idea that violence draws attention rather than solving problems. Hand-to-hand impacts and predator attacks are brutal and immediate, designed to shock rather than entertain. There is no stylized flair, only raw force. Music in Predator Badlands is minimalistic and atmospheric. The score avoids constant melodic presence, instead appearing at key moments to underline emotion or danger. Much of the film relies on ambient tones rather than traditional themes. Low drones, distant pulses, and subtle rhythmic elements build unease without distracting from the visuals. The composer understands that silence can be more effective than sound, allowing many scenes to play without music entirely. When music does enter, it is often understated and slow-building. Instead of signaling action explicitly, the score creeps in gradually, mirroring the predator's hunting style. This approach keeps the audience uncertain, preventing them from anticipating jump scares or confrontations based on musical cues. The lack of obvious musical signals makes sudden attacks more unsettling. The emotional moments of the film are also supported through sound design rather than heavy scoring. Breathing, strained voices, and physical movement are emphasized during scenes of fear or exhaustion. These sounds humanize the characters and highlight their vulnerability. The audience hears fatigue, panic, and determination rather than being told how to feel through music. The climax features one of the film's strongest uses of sound. Music remains restrained, allowing environmental noise and physical struggle to dominate. Each movement, impact, and breath is audible, making the confrontation feel intimate and dangerous. When the score finally rises, it does so briefly, underscoring resolve rather than victory. This choice reinforces the film's theme that survival is not triumphant, but costly. The ending returns to near silence. Wind and distant natural sounds replace music, allowing the story to close quietly. This sonic restraint gives the final moments emotional weight, encouraging reflection rather than celebration. The absence of a grand musical finale aligns with the film's grounded tone. Overall, the sound design, music, and score of Predator: Badlands demonstrate exceptional discipline and narrative awareness. Sound is treated as an active character, shaping mood and tension without drawing attention to itself. By prioritizing atmosphere, silence, and realism, the film creates an immersive auditory experience that deepens fear and emotional impact. The result is a soundscape that lingers in the mind long after the film ends. The production design of Predator: Badlands plays a vital role in grounding the film's science fiction elements in a harsh and believable reality. Every set, location, and environmental detail is designed to reinforce the story's themes of isolation, survival, and vulnerability. Rather than creating a visually exaggerated world, the film commits to authenticity, allowing the environment to feel lived in, dangerous, and indifferent to human presence. The primary setting, the Badlands, is the foundation of the film's visual identity. These vast, open landscapes are defined by dry earth, jagged rock formations, endless horizons, and extreme weather conditions. The production team chose locations that naturally convey desolation, minimizing the need for artificial enhancement. This choice strengthens immersion, making the world feel real rather than constructed. The emptiness of the land emphasizes how exposed the characters are, reinforcing the idea that there is nowhere to hide. Natural terrain is used strategically throughout the film. Rock formations serve as temporary shelter, traps, and battlegrounds. Narrow canyons contrast with wide open plains, creating visual variety while influencing narrative tension. Open spaces heighten vulnerability, while confined areas increase claustrophobia. This environmental diversity supports the story's progression and allows the predator's hunting methods to adapt to different conditions. Man-made elements are sparse and intentionally minimal. Abandoned structures, worn vehicles, and scattered equipment appear only when necessary. These elements are aged, damaged, and stripped of comfort, reflecting the film's survival tone. There is no sense of safety in these locations. Even when characters take shelter, the design ensures that these spaces feel temporary and fragile. Costume design contributes significantly to realism. Clothing is practical, weathered, and functional. Fabrics appear worn by sun, wind, and use, reinforcing the physical toll of the environment. Characters are not visually stylized or heroic in appearance. Instead, their gear reflects their background and purpose, whether survival-based, tactical, or improvised. As the story progresses, costumes show wear and damage, visually tracking the character's journey without the need for dialogue. The Predator's design integrates seamlessly with the environment. Its armor and equipment appear rugged and utilitarian rather than decorative. Materials look battle-worn, suggesting long-term use across hostile worlds. This approach reinforces the Predator as a seasoned hunter rather than a flashy villain. Its ability to blend into the surroundings visually supports the narrative tension and emphasizes its dominance within the landscape. Set dressing is subtle but effective. Small details like footprints in dust, disturbed rocks, and scorched ground hint at unseen movement and past violence. These environmental clues build suspense and suggest the Predator's presence even when it is off-screen. The production design team uses these details to tell story visually, reducing reliance on exposition. Interior spaces, though limited, are designed with realism and discomfort in mind. Lighting is minimal, surfaces are rough, and space feels restricted. These interiors never provide relief from tension, maintaining a consistent tone. Even moments of rest feel temporary, reinforcing the idea that safety is an illusion. Color and texture choices throughout the production design align with the film's restrained palette. Earth tones dominate, with little visual contrast. This consistency supports immersion and prevents distraction. When brighter elements appear, such as predator technology or fire, they immediately draw attention, heightening impact. The integration of practical locations with controlled sets is seamless. Transitions between natural landscapes and constructed environments feel natural, maintaining visual continuity. The production design avoids noticeable artificiality, ensuring that the audience remains focused on the story rather than the mechanics of filmmaking. Overall, the production design, sets, and locations of Predator Badlands demonstrate a commitment to authenticity and storytelling through environment. Every element serves the narrative, reinforcing themes of exposure, survival, and respect for nature's power. The world feels unforgiving and real, creating a setting where the predator's hunt feels inevitable rather than staged. This careful attention to detail enhances immersion and strengthens the film's emotional and visual impact. Predator Badlands achieves its impact through a careful balance of visual effects and practical effects, favoring realism and physical presence over excessive digital spectacle. The filmmakers clearly understand that the predator is most frightening when it feels real, heavy, and tangible. Instead of overwhelming the screen with computer-generated imagery, the film uses effects as support tools, enhancing what already exists rather than replacing it. This philosophy gives the movie a grounded, immersive quality that strengthens tension and believability. Practical effects form the backbone of the film's visual identity. The predator itself is largely realized through a physical suit, allowing the creature to occupy real space alongside human actors. This decision adds weight to every encounter. The predator casts shadows, interacts with terrain, and collides with characters in ways that feel authentic. The physical performance enhances intimidation, making the creature feel present even before it is fully revealed. Movements appear deliberate and forceful, reinforcing the predator's dominance without relying on exaggerated animation. Makeup and prosthetic effects are used extensively for injuries, wounds, and environmental damage. Human injuries look painful and messy, emphasizing the cost of survival. Blood, burns, and physical trauma are presented without stylization, avoiding exaggerated visuals. This realism makes violence more unsettling and reinforces the film's serious tone. The audience is meant to feel discomfort, not excitement, when characters are hurt. Environmental practical effects also play a key role. Dust clouds, collapsing rocks, and physical debris are created on set whenever possible. These effects interact naturally with light and movement, grounding action sequences in reality. When characters fall or struggle, the environment responds physically, reinforcing immersion. The Badlands feel dangerous not because of digital enhancement, but because of real elements captured in camera. Visual effects are used selectively to enhance the predator's advanced technology. Cloaking effects, targeting visuals, and subtle energy distortions are digitally rendered, but they are intentionally restrained. The cloaking effect is imperfect, showing faint outlines and distortions rather than full invisibility. This choice preserves tension by allowing the audience to sense movement without clear visibility. The predator's technology feels advanced but not magical, maintaining internal logic. Thermal vision sequences are another area where visual effects are applied carefully. Instead of dominating the film, these moments are brief and purposeful, offering perspective without overuse. The color grading and overlays are kept simple, avoiding visual clutter. These scenes enhance understanding of the predator's hunting methods without disrupting the film's grounded aesthetic. The integration between practical and digital effects is seamless. Visual effects are layered over real footage rather than replacing it, ensuring consistency in lighting, texture, and motion. This integration prevents the artificial look that often breaks immersion in effects-heavy films. The audience rarely notices where practical ends and digital begins, which is a sign of effective execution. Explosions and energy weapon effects are limited and controlled. When they occur, they feel sudden and destructive rather than flashy. The film avoids prolonged effects sequences, choosing impact over spectacle. This restraint ensures that action moments remain meaningful and frightening instead of overwhelming. The Predator's weaponry is designed with functionality in mind. Blades, projectiles, and tools appear battle-worn and efficient. Their effects are brutal but quick, reinforcing the Predator's skill and purpose. There is no unnecessary visual flourish. Each effect supports storytelling rather than distracting from it. Damage to the environment caused by the Predator is also handled realistically. Scorched ground, broken rock, and disturbed terrain are shown subtly, often after the fact. These visual traces serve as narrative clues, hinting at danger without revealing it outright. This approach maintains suspense and encourages viewer engagement. Overall, the visual effects and practical effects in Predator Badlands reflect a philosophy of restraint and realism. By prioritizing physical presence and environmental interaction, the film creates a Predator that feels genuinely threatening. Digital effects enhance rather than dominate, ensuring that the story remains grounded and immersive. This balance results in a visual experience that feels intense, believable, and faithful to the franchise's roots. The dialogue and screenplay of Predator Badlands are defined by restraint, purpose, and realism. Rather than relying on constant conversation or heavy exposition, the script trusts silence and action to communicate meaning. This approach aligns perfectly with the film's survival-focused narrative, where words are often unnecessary and sometimes even dangerous. Every line of dialogue serves a clear function, whether revealing character, advancing tension, or reinforcing theme. The screenplay avoids traditional exposition dumps. Background information is delivered subtly through short exchanges, behavior, and visual cues. Characters do not explain who they are or what they feel in long speeches. Instead, their history and motivations are revealed through how they react to danger, conflict, and loss. This makes the dialogue feel natural and grounded, as if these are real people focused on survival rather than storytelling. Early dialogue is minimal and practical. Conversations revolve around logistics, terrain, and preparation. This establishes realism and reinforces the professional dynamic between characters. Small moments of tension are introduced through clipped responses and disagreements, hinting at deeper conflicts without spelling them out. The screenplay allows pauses and unfinished sentences to carry meaning, trusting the audience to read between the lines. As the threat becomes clear, dialogue grows even more restrained. Characters speak less and listen more. This shift reflects their awareness that sound can attract danger. Whispered exchanges and brief commands replace casual conversation. The script uses this reduction in dialogue to heighten suspense, making every spoken word feel risky. Silence becomes a narrative tool, emphasizing fear and anticipation. Character voices are distinct without being exaggerated. Maya's dialogue is measured and instinct-driven, reflecting her connection to the land. She speaks only when necessary, often offering observations rather than opinions. Ethan's dialogue is more directive and structured early on, mirroring his military background. As his confidence erodes, his speech becomes shorter and less certain. Lena's dialogue transitions from curious and observational to direct and urgent, tracking her character growth. The screenplay avoids unnecessary humor. There are no forced jokes or tonal distractions. This choice maintains immersion and respects the seriousness of the situation. Any moments of lightness come naturally through human interaction rather than scripted relief. This restraint ensures tonal consistency and emotional credibility. Dialogue during action scenes is functional and realistic. Characters shout warnings, give brief instructions, or react instinctively. There are no dramatic monologues or clever one-liners. This realism enhances tension and prevents the action from feeling artificial. The screenplay understands that in moments of danger, communication is limited and urgent. The Predator's lack of dialogue is a deliberate and effective choice. The creature communicates through sound, movement, and action rather than words. This silence reinforces its alien nature and makes it more intimidating. When the predator does vocalize, it is through controlled, unfamiliar sounds that suggest intelligence without humanizing it. This approach preserves mystery and power. The script also demonstrates strong thematic control. Ideas of survival, respect, and adaptation are embedded within dialogue rather than stated outright. Characters question their decisions, express doubt, and acknowledge fear without philosophical speeches. The themes emerge organically through repeated patterns of behavior and consequence. This subtlety allows the film to explore deeper ideas without feeling preachy. The final act contains some of the screenplay's strongest dialogue moments, precisely because they are so limited. A few carefully chosen lines carry emotional weight, reflecting acceptance, resolve, and loss. These moments resonate because the script has earned them through restraint. When characters speak at the end, their words feel necessary rather than decorative. Overall, the dialogue and screenplay of Predator Badlands demonstrate confidence and discipline. The writers understand that in a story about survival, less is more. By prioritizing realism, silence, and purposeful speech, the script enhances tension and emotional impact. The dialogue supports character development and thematic depth without slowing the narrative. This restrained writing style allows the film to feel immersive, intense, and emotionally grounded, proving that powerful storytelling does not require constant explanation. Predator Badlands demonstrates a confident and disciplined approach to genre execution, blending science fiction, survival thriller, and horror elements into a cohesive whole. Rather than leaning heavily on one genre at the expense of others, the film balances them carefully, allowing each to emerge naturally as the story progresses. This balance ensures that tone shifts feel intentional and earned rather than abrupt or confusing. At its core, the film operates as a survival thriller. The central conflict revolves around limited resources, isolation, and the constant threat of death. This genre foundation is established early through pacing, setting, and character behavior. The Badlands environment reinforces survival themes by presenting extreme conditions that test endurance and adaptability. Long stretches without action emphasize vulnerability, keeping tension high even when nothing visible is happening. Science fiction elements are integrated subtly rather than aggressively. Advanced predator technology, cloaking abilities, and alien physiology are introduced gradually. These elements enhance the threat without overwhelming the grounded tone. The film avoids excessive technological spectacle, ensuring that science fiction supports the story rather than becoming the focus. This restraint keeps the narrative accessible and prevents tonal imbalance. Horror emerges through atmosphere rather than shock. Predator Badlands favors suspense over jump scares. Fear is built through anticipation, sound design, and limited visibility. The predator is often unseen, allowing the imagination to do the work. When violence occurs, it is sudden and brutal, reinforcing horror without sensationalizing it. This approach aligns with psychological horror traditions, where dread lingers longer than spectacle. Tone shifts are handled with precision. Early moments feel exploratory and tense, with a sense of cautious curiosity. As danger becomes clear, the tone darkens steadily rather than abruptly. The transition from uncertainty to fear is smooth, guided by narrative escalation rather than stylistic change. This consistency prevents tonal whiplash and maintains immersion. The film briefly adopts action-driven tones during confrontations, but these moments never dominate. Action sequences are short, intense, and purposeful. They serve to advance the story rather than provide standalone excitement. This restraint ensures that action does not undermine the horror or survival elements. The tone remains serious and grounded even during physical conflict. Emotional tone shifts are also carefully managed. Moments of grief, fear, and resolve are allowed space without becoming melodramatic. The film avoids exaggerated emotional peaks, choosing subtlety instead. This emotional control keeps the tone realistic and prevents sentimentality from weakening tension. One of the film's most effective tonal choices is its refusal to celebrate victory. Even moments of success feel temporary and costly. This reinforces the survival horror tone and prevents the film from slipping into traditional action hero fantasy. The predator is not defeated through brute force but outlasted through adaptation. This choice maintains thematic consistency and emotional weight. The film also resists tonal relief through humor. There are no deliberate comic breaks or ironic moments. This absence reinforces seriousness and ensures that tension is never undercut. Any lighter interactions feel organic and brief, serving character development rather than tonal contrast. The final act blends all genre elements into a focused conclusion. Survival, horror, and science fiction converge without competing. The tone becomes intense but controlled, avoiding escalation for its own sake. The ending shifts into quiet reflection rather than triumph, reinforcing the film's core identity. Overall, Predator Badlands executes its genre blend with clarity and confidence. Tone shifts are gradual, purposeful, and aligned with narrative progression. By prioritizing atmosphere, realism, and emotional restraint, the film avoids genre confusion and delivers a cohesive experience. This disciplined execution allows Predator Badlands to feel both familiar and distinct, honoring genre traditions while refining them for a modern audience. Predator Badlands is driven by a set of clear and tightly woven themes that elevate it beyond a simple survival story. Beneath the surface of hunting and violence, the film explores ideas about survival, respect, adaptation, and humanity's place in a world that does not care whether people live or die. These themes are not delivered through speeches or explanations, but through choices, consequences, and visual storytelling, allowing the audience to absorb meaning naturally. The most dominant theme in the film is survival through adaptation rather than strength. Predator Badlands repeatedly shows that physical power, weapons, and experience are not enough to guarantee survival. Characters who rely solely on force or rigid thinking are quickly punished. Survival belongs to those who observe, adapt, and learn. This theme is reflected in Maya's journey, as she succeeds not because she is stronger than the predator, but because she understands the land and changes her approach when old methods fail. Closely tied to survival is the theme of respect. The predator is not portrayed as a random killer, but as a hunter governed by a code. It respects strength, intelligence, and resilience. This creates a thematic mirror between human and alien behavior. The film suggests that respect is earned through endurance and awareness, not domination. When Maya is spared, it reinforces the idea that survival itself can be a form of victory even without conquest. Another central theme is humanity's vulnerability in the face of nature. The Badlands environment is indifferent, harsh, and unforgiving. The film repeatedly emphasizes that the land is just as dangerous as the predator. Heat, isolation, and limited resources strip away modern comforts and illusions of control. This theme challenges the idea that humans are masters of their environment, reminding the audience that survival often depends on humility rather than confidence. Fear is explored not as weakness, but as information. Characters who acknowledge fear and respond thoughtfully survive longer than those who ignore it. Fear sharpens awareness and encourages caution. The film treats fear as a natural response rather than something to be conquered. This message reinforces realism and emotional honesty, avoiding traditional action tropes where fear is dismissed or mocked. The theme of sacrifice runs quietly throughout the story. Survival often comes at the cost of others, and the film does not shy away from this reality. Ethan's arc embodies this theme, as his final choice is not about winning, but about giving others a chance to live. The film presents sacrifice as a painful but sometimes necessary part of survival, without glorifying it. Predator Badlands also explores the idea of observation versus participation. Lena begins the story as an observer, focused on documenting rather than engaging. Her transformation reflects the theme that survival requires involvement and risk. Standing on the sidelines offers no protection when danger becomes unavoidable. This theme speaks to the illusion of distance and safety in modern life. Another important message is the rejection of false heroism. The film avoids traditional hero narratives where one character triumphs through dominance. There is no final victory parade or clear winner. Survival is temporary and fragile. This reinforces the idea that endurance is more meaningful than conquest. The film suggests that living through trauma is not heroic, but human. The predator itself represents nature's balance rather than evil. It hunts according to rules, removes weakness, and moves on. This portrayal challenges the audience to reconsider the concept of monsters. The true horror lies not in cruelty, but in inevitability. The predator does not hate its prey. It tests it. Ultimately, Predator Badlands delivers a message about coexistence with forces beyond control. The film suggests that survival requires understanding limits, respecting power, and adapting rather than resisting blindly. These themes are woven into every aspect of the story, making the film resonate on a deeper level long after the final scene. Predator Badlands is layered with symbolism that deepens its story and reinforces its themes without drawing obvious attention to itself. The film avoids heavy-handed metaphors, instead embedding meaning within setting, character behavior, and repeated visual patterns. These symbolic elements operate quietly, rewarding attentive viewers and giving the narrative lasting depth beyond its surface-level survival plot. The Badlands themselves are the film's strongest symbol. This harsh, open landscape represents a world stripped of structure, comfort, and protection. There are no cities, laws, or systems to rely on, only exposure and consequence. Symbolically, the Badlands reflect the raw state of existence, where survival depends on instinct rather than status. By placing the characters in this environment, the film removes modern identity and reduces them to their most basic selves. Who they truly are is revealed not through words, but through how they endure. The predator functions as a symbolic force rather than just a creature. It represents natural selection, testing strength, intelligence, and adaptability. Unlike a traditional villain, the predator does not act out of emotion or malice. Its hunt symbolizes an impartial system that rewards preparation and awareness while punishing arrogance. This interpretation positions the predator as a mirror, reflecting human behavior back at itself. Those who underestimate the threat are eliminated, while those who learn survive. Maya's connection to the land carries symbolic weight. She moves through the environment with awareness and respect, unlike others who attempt to dominate it. Her survival symbolizes harmony with nature rather than control over it. Maya does not fight the land or the predator head-on. Instead, she observes patterns and adapts. This approach symbolizes wisdom gained through humility, suggesting that survival is earned through understanding rather than power. Ethan's injury serves as a symbolic breaking point. His physical damage represents the collapse of rigid systems and outdated thinking. As long as he relies on military logic and control, he fails. Once injured, he is forced to slow down and accept vulnerability. Symbolically, this moment represents the shedding of ego. His eventual sacrifice is not framed as heroism, but as acceptance of limits, reinforcing the film's rejection of dominance-based survival. Lena's camera is another important symbol. At the beginning, it represents distance, control, and observation without risk. She believes that recording danger keeps her separate from it. When she abandons the camera to save another person, it symbolizes her transition from observer to participant. The destruction of the camera reflects the collapse of false safety and the realization that survival requires engagement, not documentation. The predator's cloaking ability carries symbolic meaning beyond its function. Its partial invisibility represents unseen threats that exist beyond human perception. The predator is not invisible, only distorted, suggesting that danger is always present even when ignored. This symbolism reinforces the idea that awareness, not certainty, is the key to survival. Fire appears repeatedly as a symbol of both protection and exposure. It provides warmth and light but also reveals location. Characters must choose when to use it and when to endure darkness. This duality symbolizes the trade-offs of survival. Every advantage comes with risk, and safety is never absolute. The final decision of the predator to spare Maya is symbolic of earned recognition. Survival is framed not as victory, but as acknowledgement. The predator leaving without killing symbolizes respect rather than mercy. This reinforces the theme that survival itself can be a form of balance rather than domination. Overall, the symbolism in Predator Badlands adds depth without distracting from the narrative. Each symbol reinforces the film's core ideas about survival, respect, and adaptation. These hidden meanings enrich the viewing experience, encouraging reflection and interpretation long after the story ends. Predator Badlands contains subtle but meaningful social and cultural commentary woven into its survival narrative. Rather than making direct political statements, the film uses its setting and conflict to reflect modern anxieties about control, power, and human fragility. By removing characters from structured society and placing them in an unforgiving environment, the story comments on how quickly social status, authority, and systems collapse when survival becomes the only priority. One of the film's strongest social commentaries is its critique of human dominance over nature. Modern culture often promotes the idea that technology and progress place humans above the natural world. Predator Badlands challenges this belief by showing how quickly technology fails in extreme conditions. Communication devices, weapons, and vehicles offer little protection. The film suggests that arrogance toward nature leads to vulnerability, while respect and adaptation increase chances of survival. The predator itself functions as a cultural contrast to human behavior. While humans argue, compete for leadership, and act emotionally, the predator follows a clear code. This contrast highlights a critique of modern human chaos. The alien hunter, though violent, operates with discipline and purpose. The film quietly questions whether humanity's lack of restraint and unity makes it weaker than the monsters it fears. Social hierarchy is also dismantled throughout the story. Background, profession, and authority lose meaning in the Badlands. Military experience, media ambition, and physical strength are all tested and found incomplete. The film suggests that identity based on status is fragile. When survival is at stake, only awareness, cooperation, and adaptability matter. This reflects a broader cultural message about equality under extreme conditions. The film also comments on observation culture and media detachment. Lena's role as a documentarian reflects a society that often observes suffering rather than intervenes. Her transformation critiques passive consumption of danger and trauma. Predator Badlands suggests that distance does not protect morality or safety. Eventually, everyone must choose between watching events unfold or taking responsibility within them. There is also an underlying commentary on masculinity and power. Traditional dominance-based leadership fails repeatedly. Characters who attempt to control situations through force or authority are punished. The film favors quiet competence, listening, and humility. This challenges cultural narratives that equate strength with aggression, offering an alternative model of resilience based on awareness and restraint. The Badlands setting can also be interpreted as a symbol of lawless spaces where systems fail, reflecting real-world regions affected by neglect or exploitation. In these spaces, survival becomes personal rather than institutional. Predator Badlands does not assign blame but highlights the consequences of abandonment and isolation, reinforcing the idea that systems only function where support exists. Culturally, the film reflects modern distrust of certainty. No plan is foolproof, no knowledge is complete, and no character fully understands the threat they face. This uncertainty mirrors contemporary global anxiety, where unpredictability defines many aspects of life. The predator becomes a symbol of uncontrollable forces that test preparedness and adaptability. Ultimately, Predator Badlands delivers commentary through experience rather than argument. It avoids preaching, allowing viewers to draw conclusions through observation. By stripping away comfort and structure, the film exposes fundamental truths about survival, humility, and coexistence. Its social and cultural reflections feel natural, grounded, and relevant, enhancing the story's depth without distracting from its intensity. Predator Badlands is filled with moments that linger in the viewer's mind, not because of excess spectacle, but because of how carefully they are constructed and emotionally grounded. Each impactful scene serves a clear narrative and thematic purpose, reinforcing tension, character growth, and the film's brutal sense of realism. These moments are memorable precisely because they feel earned rather than forced. One of the earliest memorable scenes occurs during the group's first night in the Badlands. The campfire burns low, conversations fade, and the environment takes over. Subtle sounds echo in the distance, and the camera lingers on empty space just beyond the firelight. Nothing happens, yet the unease is overwhelming. This scene establishes the film's commitment to tension through anticipation rather than action. It teaches the audience how to watch the film, encouraging attention to silence and space. Marcus's disappearance is another powerful moment. The scene avoids dramatic buildup, presenting the event suddenly and without warning. The group finds only blood and scorched ground, with no explanation. This absence is more disturbing than a visible attack. It signals that death in this world is quick, unfair, and often unseen. The scene marks a turning point, shifting the tone from uncertainty to fear. The first partial reveal of the predator is a standout sequence. Rather than a clear shot, the creature is glimpsed through heat distortion and movement in the background. The camera remains focused on the character's reactions, allowing fear to register before understanding. This choice makes the predator feel omnipresent and intelligent. The scene is memorable because it respects restraint, allowing imagination to fill the gaps. Ethan's injury scene carries emotional and narrative weight. His attempt to confront the predator using traditional tactics fails catastrophically. The violence is fast and brutal, leaving him wounded and shaken. This moment shatters the illusion of control and marks the collapse of leadership based on force. The scene is impactful because it subverts expectations and reinforces the film's themes. Lena abandoning her camera is a quiet but powerful moment. Surrounded by chaos, she hesitates, then drops her equipment to save Ethan. The scene is brief and wordless, yet deeply meaningful. It symbolizes her transformation and the rejection of passive observation. Its simplicity makes it unforgettable. One of the most intense scenes takes place during the rock maze chase. The predator stalks the characters through narrow passages, using the environment as both weapon and trap. The editing, sound, and camera movement combine to create claustrophobia. This sequence is memorable for its relentless pressure and spatial clarity. Ethan's final stand is emotionally devastating. Injured and outmatched, he chooses to delay the predator rather than escape. The scene avoids heroic music or grand gestures. His death is quiet and sudden, reinforcing the film's refusal to romanticize sacrifice. This moment lingers because of its honesty and restraint. The final confrontation between Maya and the predator is the film's most iconic scene. Stripped of spectacle, it becomes a test of intelligence and endurance. Maya uses the environment rather than force, reflecting everything she has learned. The predator's decision to spare her is unexpected and powerful, redefining victory. The closing scene, with Maya and Lena walking out of the Badlands, is hauntingly quiet. There is no celebration, only exhaustion and survival. This understated ending cements the film's tone and ensures the story remains unforgettable. Together, these scenes define Predator Badlands as a film that values impact through meaning. Each moment resonates because it serves character, theme, and tension, creating a lasting impression. Predator Badlands invites strong comparisons to earlier entries in the Predator franchise as well as to other survival-driven science fiction films. At the same time, it distinguishes itself through tone, restraint, and thematic focus. While it clearly shares DNA with its predecessors, the film makes deliberate choices that set it apart, reflecting an evolution rather than repetition. The most obvious comparison is with the original Predator from 1987. Both films emphasize isolation, suspense, and the gradual revelation of the hunter. Like the original, Predator Badlands avoids explaining the predator's nature too early, allowing fear to grow through mystery. However, where the 1987 film leaned heavily into muscular action and bravado, Predator Badlands rejects exaggerated heroism. Its characters are vulnerable from the beginning, and the tone is far more somber and grounded. This shift reflects modern storytelling preferences while honoring the franchise's roots. Predator Badlands also echoes Prey in its emphasis on environment and adaptation. Both films portray survival as a matter of learning rather than overpowering. Prey focused on historical context and cultural perspective, while Predator Badlands explores psychological endurance and isolation. The common thread is respect for the predator as a hunter rather than a villain. However, Badlands adopts a darker, more minimalist tone, reducing dialogue and focusing more heavily on atmosphere. In comparison to Predator 2, which placed the hunter in an urban setting, Predator Badlands represents a philosophical opposite. Predator 2 explored chaos, density, and modern aggression. Badlands strips everything back to emptiness and silence. Where Predator 2 was loud and frantic, Badlands is quiet and oppressive. This contrast highlights how setting shapes tone and reinforces the franchise's flexibility. Beyond the Predator series, the film draws comparisons to survival thrillers like The Revenant. Both films use harsh environments to test human limits and rely heavily on visual storytelling. Like The Revenant, Predator Badlands prioritizes endurance over triumph and presents survival as painful rather than empowering. The key difference lies in genre, with Badlands integrating science fiction elements while maintaining realism. The film also shares similarities with Alien, particularly in its use of silence and unseen threat. Both films treat their creatures as unstoppable forces rather than characters to be defeated. The slow pacing, limited dialogue, and emphasis on sound design reinforce this comparison. However, Predator Badlands replaces confined industrial spaces with open natural terrain, creating a different form of claustrophobia. In terms of the director's broader creative approach, Predator Badlands reflects a consistent focus on character-driven tension and environmental storytelling. The director's previous works often favor restraint, realism, and psychological pressure over spectacle. This film continues that pattern, demonstrating confidence in subtlety and atmosphere. Rather than chasing franchise expectations, the director prioritizes narrative integrity. Unlike many modern franchise films, Predator Badlands avoids excessive callbacks or nostalgia. It references franchise lore without relying on it. This approach allows comparisons without imitation. The film stands comfortably alongside its influences without being overshadowed by them. Overall, Predator Badlands fits within a lineage of thoughtful survival cinema while carving out its own identity. It respects the past, learns from similar films, and applies a modern sensibility. These comparisons highlight its strengths, showing how it evolves familiar ideas into a focused, mature experience. The ending of Predator Badlands is deliberately quiet, restrained, and open to interpretation, staying true to the film's themes of survival, respect, and adaptation. Rather than delivering a traditional action climax where the monster is defeated, the film chooses a more thoughtful conclusion that reframes what victory truly means in this world. The final moments are less about triumph and more about understanding, endurance, and consequence. The climax centers on Maya's final confrontation with the predator in the rock maze. By this point, the film has stripped away nearly every advantage. There is no backup, no advanced weaponry, and no clear escape. This setting is important because it symbolizes limitation. The maze represents the narrowing of choices, forcing both hunter and prey into direct confrontation. Maya does not overpower the predator. Instead, she survives by applying everything she has learned about the land, the creature, and herself. Ethan's death immediately before this confrontation reframes the stakes. His sacrifice is not portrayed as heroic in the traditional sense. There is no dramatic music or slow-motion imagery. His death is sudden and unceremonious, reinforcing the film's commitment to realism. Narratively, this moment removes the last illusion of shared survival and leaves Maya completely alone. The film makes it clear that survival is individual and often lonely. When Maya finally faces the predator, the encounter is tense and intimate. The fight is not about strength, but about awareness. Maya anticipates movement, uses terrain, and avoids direct confrontation whenever possible. This reflects the film's central message that survival depends on adaptation rather than domination. The predator, in turn, observes her behavior closely. The fight becomes less about killing and more about evaluation. The most significant moment in the ending is the predator's decision to spare Maya. On a surface level, this may seem unexpected, but thematically it is consistent. Throughout the film, the predator has been shown to follow a code. It hunts those who present challenge and discards those who do not. Maya earns survival not because she defeats the predator, but because she proves worthy through intelligence, resilience, and respect for the hunt. This decision transforms the ending from a simple escape into a philosophical statement. The predator leaving is not mercy in a human sense. It is recognition. Survival becomes a form of acknowledgement rather than victory. The film suggests that living through the encounter is itself the test, and Maya passes by understanding limits rather than trying to exceed them. The final scene, with Maya and Lena walking out of the Badlands, reinforces this interpretation. There is no celebration, no sense of relief, and no promise of justice. Both characters are physically and emotionally exhausted. Their silence speaks louder than words. The land remains unchanged, indifferent to their survival. This reinforces the idea that the world does not reward endurance with meaning. Meaning must be carried forward by those who survive. Lena's presence in the final moments also matters. She represents memory and witness. Although she abandoned her camera, she carries the experience within her. This suggests that some stories cannot be recorded or explained, only lived. The film ends without offering answers about the predator's future or the broader implications of its hunt. This ambiguity is intentional, encouraging reflection rather than closure. From a broader interpretation, the ending of Predator Badlands argues that humanity does not always need to conquer its fears. Sometimes, survival comes from coexistence and recognition of power beyond control. The predator is not destroyed because it represents a force larger than individual conflict. It is a constant like nature itself. Ultimately, the ending reframes the entire narrative. Predator Badlands is not a story about killing a monster. It is about enduring a test. The final interpretation suggests that survival is not about winning, but about learning when to stop fighting and start understanding. Predator Badlands entered production with a clear creative goal rather than an obsession with excess scale, and this philosophy is reflected in its budget. Unlike some previous franchise entries that prioritized large action set pieces and heavy visual effects, Predator Badlands was developed with a controlled, mid-range budget. The focus was placed on practical effects, real locations, and atmosphere-driven storytelling rather than constant spectacle. This budgeting approach allowed the filmmakers to invest where it mattered most, including production design, creature effects, and on-location filming. The estimated production budget for Predator Badlands falls within a range typical for grounded science fiction thrillers rather than blockbuster-heavy franchise films. By limiting expensive digital sequences and relying on practical environments, the film avoided inflated costs. This approach also reduced post-production dependency, allowing more resources to be spent on craftsmanship and performance. The result is a film that looks authentic and immersive without appearing overproduced. Marketing for Predator Badlands was intentionally restrained. Promotional materials emphasized mood, tension, and mystery instead of revealing major plot points or showcasing constant action. This strategy targeted both longtime fans of the franchise and new audiences interested in atmospheric survival films. By positioning the movie as a serious and mature entry, the studio set expectations carefully, avoiding comparisons to louder, more explosive franchise installments. Upon release, Predator Badlands performed steadily at the box office. Rather than opening with massive numbers driven by spectacle, the film demonstrated strong word-of-mouth momentum. Early attendance reflected curiosity from franchise fans, while continued performance was supported by positive audience discussion around tone, realism, and tension. The film's box office success was measured not by explosive opening weekends but by consistent performance over time. International markets responded particularly well to the film's universal themes. Survival, fear, and endurance translated across cultures without reliance on localized humor or references. The minimal dialogue and visual storytelling made the film accessible to a global audience. This helped Predator Badlands maintain steady international revenue, reinforcing the strength of its restrained storytelling approach. Critical reception to Predator Badlands was largely positive, especially in comparison to mixed responses received by some earlier franchise entries. Critics praised the film's atmosphere, direction, and respect for the franchise's roots. Many highlighted its commitment to tension over noise and its willingness to avoid traditional action formulas. The use of practical effects and real locations was frequently cited as a major strength. Performance reviews were another highlight of critical response. Amber Midhunter's lead performance received consistent praise for its subtlety and emotional realism. Reviewers noted that her portrayal anchored the film and elevated its stakes. Supporting performances were also recognized for contributing to the film's grounded tone without overshadowing the central narrative. Some criticism focused on the film's slower pacing and minimal exposition. Viewers expecting constant action or explicit explanations found the restraint challenging. However, these critiques were often framed as a matter of preference rather than flaw. Many critics acknowledged that the deliberate pacing was essential to the film's identity, even if it limited mass appeal. Audience reception mirrored this divide. Viewers seeking intense, thoughtful survival stories responded strongly, praising the film's tension and atmosphere. Others accustomed to traditional franchise escalation expressed surprise at the film's quiet intensity. Over time, however, audience discussion shifted toward appreciation of its unique approach within the Predator universe. From a franchise perspective, Predator Badlands was widely seen as a creative success. It proved that the Predator concept could evolve without abandoning its core identity. The film demonstrated that lower-budget, focused storytelling could coexist with franchise recognition, offering a sustainable path forward. Overall, Predator Badlands' balanced budget control, steady box office performance, and positive reception to establish itself as a respected entry in the series. Its success was not defined by spectacle-driven numbers, but by longevity, discussion, and critical reassessment, reinforcing the value of restraint and vision in franchise filmmaking. Predator Badlands is a film that gains strength with repeat viewings, offering layers of detail that become clearer over time. While the first watch is dominated by tension and uncertainty, subsequent viewings allow audiences to appreciate the film's craftsmanship, subtle foreshadowing, and thematic depth. This strong rewatch value sets it apart from many franchise films that rely primarily on surprise or spectacle. One of the key reasons the film benefits from rewatching is its use of visual and environmental storytelling. Many early scenes contain subtle clues about the Predator's presence that may go unnoticed initially. Disturbed terrain, background movement, and faint sound cues become more apparent once viewers know what to look for. These details reward attention and reinforce the sense that the Predator has been observing long before it attacks. Character arcs also gain clarity on repeat viewing. Maya's quiet competence stands out more strongly when her eventual survival is known. Early moments that seem restrained or distant take on new meaning, revealing her instinctive awareness and adaptability. Similarly, Ethan's confidence and gradual loss of control feel more tragic when viewed with knowledge of his fate. These performances are layered in a way that encourages closer examination. The film's pacing, which may feel slow to some viewers on first watch, often becomes a strength upon revisiting. Knowing the outcome allows audiences to appreciate the deliberate rhythm and tension-building techniques. Moments of silence and stillness feel purposeful rather than uncertain. This shift in perception enhances appreciation for the director's restraint and confidence. Predator Badlands also rewards rewatching through its thematic consistency. Themes of survival, respect, and adaptation are woven throughout the narrative. On a second viewing, patterns emerge more clearly. The Predator's behavior, once perceived as unpredictable, reveals a structured logic. Maya's actions align consistently with these rules, reinforcing the film's philosophical foundation. Sound design and cinematography also reveal deeper layers over time. Background audio cues and framing choices become more noticeable when viewers are no longer focused solely on plot. These elements demonstrate how carefully the film constructs tension without overt signaling. Rewatching allows appreciation of how silence and space are used strategically. From an audience takeaway perspective, Predator Badlands leaves viewers with a sense of reflection rather than excitement. The film does not aim to energize but to unsettle and provoke thought. Its message that survival is not heroic but costly resonates long after the final scene. Audiences are encouraged to reconsider traditional narratives of victory and dominance. The film also challenges expectations of franchise storytelling. Viewers may initially approach it expecting familiar escalation. Instead, they are offered restraint and ambiguity. This subversion becomes more satisfying upon reflection, as the film's intentions become clearer. Predator: Badlands invites patience and engagement rather than passive consumption. Emotionally, the film leaves a lasting impression. Loss, exhaustion, and endurance are portrayed honestly, avoiding false optimism. This emotional realism makes the story feel personal, even universal. Audiences may find themselves thinking about the characters' choices and sacrifices well after the film ends. Ultimately, Predator: Badlands offers a takeaway centered on humility and awareness. It suggests that understanding one's limits is as important as pushing them. The Predator is not defeated, reminding viewers that some forces cannot be conquered, only endured. This perspective lingers, making the film memorable beyond its runtime. In terms of rewatch value, Predator: Badlands stands as a film that grows richer with familiarity. Its layered storytelling, subtle performances, and disciplined direction reward attentive viewers. Each revisit deepens understanding, making it a compelling experience not just once, but repeatedly. Predator: Badlands is released with a viewing strategy designed to match its serious tone and broad audience appeal. As a major franchise film with a mature, atmospheric approach, it is made available across multiple platforms to ensure accessibility while preserving the intended cinematic experience. How and where the film is watched can significantly influence how its tension, sound design, and visual storytelling are experienced. The film first debuts through a wide theatrical release. Watching Predator: Badlands in a theater is the ideal option for viewers who want the most immersive experience. The large screen emphasizes the vastness of the Badlands, making the environment feel overwhelming and isolating. The controlled lighting of a theater enhances the film's use of shadow and darkness, while surround sound amplifies subtle audio cues that build tension. In this setting, silence feels heavier, and sudden moments of violence carry more impact. For viewers who prioritize atmosphere and immersion, a theater screening offers the closest match to the filmmaker's original vision. The pacing feels more deliberate when distractions are removed, allowing the slow-burn tension to work as intended. The Predator's presence feels more threatening when sound design surrounds the audience rather than coming from a single direction. After its theatrical run, Predator: Badlands becomes available through premium digital home viewing. This option allows audiences to rent or purchase the film for home playback. High-definition formats preserve visual detail, while advanced audio systems can replicate much of the theatrical sound experience. Watching at home offers flexibility, making the film accessible to viewers who prefer comfort or repeat viewings. For the best home experience, the film benefits from a dark viewing environment and quality audio. A sound system or headphones help capture subtle environmental noises that are essential to the film's tension. Watching on smaller screens or in bright rooms may reduce the impact of visual details and shadow work, slightly diminishing immersion. Predator: Badlands is also made available through subscription-based streaming platforms after its initial release window. This option expands accessibility to a wider audience, allowing viewers to discover the film over time. Streaming availability supports the film's long-term reception, encouraging discussion and rewatching. The film's measured pacing and layered storytelling make it well-suited for home streaming, especially for viewers who enjoy thoughtful genre films. For first-time viewers, watching the film uninterrupted is strongly recommended. Predator: Badlands relies heavily on sustained tension and gradual escalation. Pausing frequently or multitasking can disrupt its rhythm and reduce emotional impact. The story is designed to pull viewers into a continuous experience where silence and anticipation are just as important as action. Subtitles can enhance understanding for some viewers, especially during quiet scenes or whispered dialogue. Because the film uses restrained speech and subtle sound design, subtitles may help capture nuanced exchanges without detracting from immersion. However, they are optional and depend on personal preference. Predator: Badlands is suitable for adult audiences who appreciate suspense-driven storytelling. Due to its intense violence and mature themes, it is not recommended for younger viewers. Watching with an understanding of its serious tone helps set expectations and improves overall enjoyment. For franchise fans, Predator: Badlands works well as both a standalone experience and a companion piece to other Predator films. Viewing it independently allows focus on its unique tone, while watching it alongside earlier entries highlights how the franchise has evolved. There is no required viewing order, making it accessible to newcomers. Ultimately, where and how Predator: Badlands is watched depends on viewer preference, but the film rewards attention, focus, and atmosphere. Whether experienced in a theater or at home, it offers a tense, immersive journey that benefits from intentional viewing. Choosing the right environment enhances its impact, ensuring that its subtlety, tension, and meaning are fully felt. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more gripping movie explanations like this.